Hey, it's Lisa with Lisa T Creations. So tonight I'm kind of hanging out in my craft room or my sewing studio, and I went on vacation, and that was the end of September. And so since I've gotten back, I've had a lot of house projects that I wanted to get finished, and I was really struggling to get back into a creative mindset, I guess you could say. But I have finally made a decision on which project that I am going to work on next. I've had this pattern for quite some time, and so I thought that I would take you along with me through the creative process. I mean, this is not my pattern, so I can't share all the details, but it's called Patchwork Mini Duffel, or actually it says Patchwork Duffel Mini. It's by Knot and Thread Designs, or Knot and Thread Design. Sorry, I don't remember. The copyright is by Caitlin Howe. So I can't really share the details of the pattern, but I kind of wanted to do more like a craft along for this video. So I hope you stay tuned, because this one looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I probably don't have everything I need for this, but I'm going to start it anyway. So let me turn the camera around and show you what I've done so far. Now, so this pattern it's a patchwork, and so I have started out by laying out the outside panel, all the little. Now these are actually a little smaller than the pattern calls for, and I'm okay with that, to make it just a little bit smaller, because I used this field of flowers for these are mini charm packs, that field of flowers, so I really wanted to use those for something, and that patchwork duffel bag is going to be perfect for that. So I think I've pretty much finished adjusting all of these. I mean, they are absolutely gorgeous prints, and I want it to look patchy, and so I've tried to keep all the colors balanced. I'm not sure how good a job I did, but we will see how it looks when I have finished sewing it. I can't really chain piece these together, so what I'm going to do is just put them in little piles in the order that I want them to go in, and then start sewing them together. So I'm just going to put them in little piles like this and sew them all together. Okay, for this I'm going to use this color of thread because it will probably go with just about everything. And since I'm just using this to piece it, I'm not using it to actually quilt this with. So for right now, I'm just going to be using this pretty color. I don't know, I guess this is kind of lime. I don't know what color this is. It's by Coats and Clark. It's in an all-purpose. It is polyester. It's not cotton. So it should hold up to being in a duffel bag. Okay, because I want the seams to be a pretty exact 1/4 inch, I've switched to a, sorry about that, I've switched to my 1/4 inch foot. It has a guide on this side. Let me just scoot over a little bit. It has a guide to help me keep that at a 1/4 inch, because I'm just really terrible about sewing in a straight line, and that guide helps me keep these at a 1/4 inch. However, it does have a hole in the center that's a little bit tighter than the normal presser foot, so I'm gonna actually usually do this at 3.5, and I'm gonna leave it at a 2.5 stitch length to sew these together. Okay, let's sew. Alright, so now I have one complete row sewn together, and so I want to mark the beginning because I tend to lose track of which one is the beginning and which one is the end. So for right now, because I'm filming and I can't reach my safety pins, I'm going to put a straight pin in the very first square, so I know that's the beginning of the row, not the end. Okay, so the other thing that I am doing is a little trick that I learned from watching some of Shabby Fabrics tutorials about how to stay organized, because I want to keep these in order. So what I've done is because they have some, I guess they're specially made stickers. I'm just using these little office supply stickers, and I've labeled them rows 1 through 7 because the outer panel is 7 rows long, I guess, or maybe, yeah, 7 rows long. So I've labeled each of these. So along with the pins to help me differentiate from the beginning to the end of the strip, so I keep them in the order I had them laid out on the table. I'm going to label each row as I sew them, so I can keep them in order. Okay, so since this is just a craft with me video, and sometimes it takes me a couple of days to finish these projects, so I'm working on row 6 now, and I am going to sew these together now, and then when I have all 7 rows completed, I will show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so the next step in the process after I've got them all sewn is now I need to press these. I'm going to press all the seams. Actually, and then instead of just to make sure that this strip is nice and flat, just like that. And now I'm going to do that to the other 6 rows, but I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll meet you back when we're done. Okay, so now that I have them all sewn together in the strips, I'm going to start by sewing rows 1 and 2 together, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and then I'm going to attach this strip, and this strip, and then last we're going to do number 7. And so I will show you what it looks like when I've got all that finished. Okay, I'm ready to move on to the next part of this project. So I got this pretty blue material. Let me put it up a little bit closer. I bought this pretty blue material to use for the lining, but since this part is not going to be quite as big as the pattern calls for, I want to use this to edge this with, so it will be able to fit and be the dimensions called for in the pattern. But I want to make sure I have enough for the lining first, so I'm going to cut this to fit what I need for the lining. And then I also had to order this. It's this is polypro strapping, and it's going to be for the handles, but we're going to cover it with quilting cotton. So let me get started. First I'm going to press them off. Okay, well, rather than try to do all of this on camera, I have decided to go ahead and cut some of the strips that we need for this. And so this pretty complementary, I mean, it goes fantastic with that. This is going to be the zipper binding, and then this is going to be that extra width that I need for the outside, and then this is going to be the strap cover, and then I have a piece left. These are going to be the pocket bindings. So I still have the outside end panels and the end panel pockets to do, but for now I'm going to work on finishing the outside of the back. So this project has gotten to be a little bit challenging, and I miscalculated the width on here, so when I sewed it together there was about a 1/2 inch gap on the end, and I was just gonna leave it like that because I have to trim it down anyway. Then I decided, nope, I'm gonna take those off and redo it, because I want this to be a very high quality bag that somebody's maybe want to buy. And I'm discovering that sewing things takes a lot longer than making jewelry. I could make, 2 or 3 strung necklaces, and the couple of hours I had between the time I got home and the time I had to go to bed, so I could get up the next day for my job. Unfortunately though, the jewelry it's just impractical, and it doesn't sew well by itself. So that's kind of why I switched over to sewing, because I can make practical things and that people can actually use and want to buy. So I took it out, and now I'm gonna start over again on those ends, and because I ran out of, I didn't buy enough of the yardage in the blue. I switched to a really pretty turquoise, and I'm okay with that part because this is a Patchwork Mini duffel bag. I think when I have it all together, I think it's gonna look really cute. I just have to get it together. And so while I was cutting the new ends, I also cut the linings for the side pockets, and I'm not sure what I did with the leftovers of that mini charm pack, so I have to find it before I can actually make the side pieces. But I think for right now, what I'm going to do is work on fixing the top of this and get the outside of, get it quilted and all of that before I worry about making the end pieces. I may change my mind on that because I can't really finish the bag until the end pieces are made, but I don't know. Right now, I'm feeling just a teensy bit discouraged. I mean, the project is coming together. It's just taken longer than I really wanted it to, and I because I had to order the strapping, and I had to wait for that strapping to come in because that is not something that I can find at my local Hobby Lobby. I actually have to go order that off of Amazon. I probably could have ordered it from one of the quilting stores, but I just opted to get it off of Amazon so it would get here in a few days. And so now that I have that, I can move on, and I'm looking forward to actually doing those straps because I think that's normally I make the straps out of quilting cotton, and I just put interfacing in the middle to stiffen it up. But this is a whole different style of making straps. So and because we're covering them with quilting cotton, it's not just that plain old webbing that you get with a lot of duffel bags. So I think it's going to look really pretty. So right now I'm going to get started sewing these pieces back on. So let me move the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Or maybe put it in the front. Let's see what kind of view we got here. Here we go. Alright. And again, I still have that 1/4 inch foot on there so I could get my seams better. But I found out when I took those out that I still miss the seam. So hopefully it'll turn out a little bit better. Okay, so now I cut them a little bit too long, but I'd rather have them too long than trim them off a little bit than too short like the first time. Well, unfortunately, I just discovered that I don't have enough cotton batting for this project. So what I'm going to have to use instead is some fusible fleece. So I have my fusible fleece right here. I've already cut it down to size. It's a little bit smaller than my piece. Well, maybe not. So now I just have to iron this fusible fleece to the backing, because I'm going to iron it to the backing instead. Well, I guess I could iron it to the front. Maybe I should iron it to the front instead. Let me switch this out. I'm going to iron it to the front. Okay, so now I have this all ready to press. And so I'm going to do that. I did cover up my surface. Put together the quilt sandwich, which in this case it's a duffel bag, but same concept. And just gonna put that over the top. So, more room on one side than the other. That's okay with me. Okay. Now I'm going to pin it together. Alright, I think that should be good enough. It's a very small project. So now I'm ready to start quilting. Okay, so it has taken me the better part of 3 weeks working on this project here and there, because we are in the middle of a remodel. We added a room to our home to accommodate my grandson, and we've been working on that, and it has just been a bit of a crazy time. But I did the quilting on this off camera, because it's big and awkward. So what I'm going to do now is lay it on a flat surface, so I could show you how it turned out. And honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed in the way this has turned out. So, but we'll talk about that when I turn it over. Okay, so this is the overall. This is the outer cover of this bag, and the thing that kind of makes it where I can't put this in my shop is because I use that fusible fleece and I actually tried to iron it down. It created some wrinkles here. So for a project this big, I don't think I'll be using that fusible fleece again, or at least not fusing it down next time. If I'm going to use it, I will probably just not fuse it, because it created these wrinkles, and I'm sure that has to do with the fact that I didn't iron that very well. And then my other problem is that my seams did not quite meet where they should be. And then the last option, or the last thing, is here's where, and you may not be able to see it very good, but I didn't pay attention when I was pinning this down, and there's some wrinkles on the back. Short of taking this all out and doing it all over, that is not an option. I have to move on because, well, we're in the middle of a remodel, so this will probably end up being a Christmas present. But now I'm going to move on to step 2. Or I've lost track of the steps. I'm going to move on to the next step. So if you have gotten this far in the video, I applaud you, because this is the most hodgepodge video I'm ever going to put together. And by the time you get here, please note that my enthusiasm both for this project and the remodel that has been going on at my house, my enthusiasm for both evaporated, and I just wanted to get both finished as quickly as possible. It was a little bit frustrating on the remodel because we went from having plenty of time to get everything done to gotta do it right now, and that put a lot of stress on me. And in the end, the whole thing kind of took its toll, and I ended up in the emergency room. I thought I had food poisoning, and it turns out I just had a stomach virus, and it was not very much fun. And today is the first day where I'm feeling more like myself. But I did go ahead and finish this project off camera. There are so many flaws in this, and hopefully my daughter won't care, because I'm going to give it to her as a Christmas present. But if I do this project again, I think I'm going to find a way to do it just a little bit differently, because I'm not a really big fan of bias tape. And as you can see in the finished product video, that I really stink at it. So anyway, what you're gonna see now is actually the finished project. Now again, this was the Patchwork Duffel Mini, although this is not very small to me, but I'm assuming the big duffel bag is bigger. So here was this by Knot and Thread Design was the pattern that I was using. Again, this video was mostly not, it's not supposed to be a tutorial, because I don't have a permission to do a tutorial on this, and it was mostly just supposed to be a sew with me, but life got in the way. Things coming up. I am hopeful to get the rest of the remodel finished, so pretty soon, so I can move my studio back where it was, where I have more space, because I'm just not enjoying it being in this little tiny space. So again, thank you for watching, and here is the finished duffel bag.